Okay, hello my friends, Assalamu alaikum. We are continuing with our studying in Quran. We said that it is a sort of an interfaith study, but let's call it spiritual study. Okay? Last time we were talking about the concept of heart of stone, the concept of the non-believers. Now, the Quran, in the beginning, here in the second Surah, there is a very deep verse. The verse is verse 7. So just a moment, we will hear the verse.
ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم ومن
Okay. So, what is the very deep reality that this verse reveals to us in verse 7? The deep spiritual reality that is being taught here. Because you see, the verse, let's read it. Let's read verse 7. Verse 7 tells us the following: Allah has sealed their hearts and their hearing, and their sight is covered. They will suffer a tremendous punishment. Okay, so first of all, there is a really almost, I would say, philosophical question here. What is with the question of choice? Right? Do people have choice or not? It's a very deep religious question. Because on the one hand, if the wicked are wicked because it is God's choice, then what is religion for? What is religion about? Because after all, religion tells us, do good, do the good deeds, believe in God, believe in Allah, follow the right path, follow the path of righteousness, and so on. And on the other hand, is it possible? Is it possible that the wicked are wicked because it is God's will, because it is Allah's will? Then where is the choice? Moreover, we see that the Quran says that the wicked will be punished. We know that God is merciful, right? And if He's merciful, why would He punish? Why can He not do and put all the people on the right path in a merciful way, without punishment? These are sort of like religious riddles, not riddles. These are the most difficult theological, conceptual questions in all of religion. Almost. There are a few other hard and deep questions when it comes to theology. But first of all, with respect to the first question, the truth is that of course there is answers for these questions. Religion does not leave open paradoxes. When a religious book speaks to us, we think that it speaks to the whole of humanity. We think that just like I read the book, other people also read it. This is not the case. When God gives a person a chance to go over to the spiritual path, it gives a gift specifically to you. Meaning, if you are now in front of a book, a religious book, like the Quran, for instance, and you want to go on the path of righteousness, you have been given a special gift from God, from Allah. It is specifically for you. The other people, the Quran tells you, they are blind. They have not yet received this gift. They have not yet received this gift. You, for some reason, are granted, are privileged to go on the spiritual path. And the rest of humanity, the Quran tells us, the ones that have not yet been deserving to go on to find the path to God, are distanced from God, Not because it is their will. It is because God himself did not choose to bring them closer. He by himself distances these people from him. Why? Because they are not yet capable of connecting to the spirituality. They are blinded. This is the first part of the verse. And therefore, more than this verse requires us to look unfavorably on the non-believers, it actually tells us to look at them as handicapped people. People that are blind. It is like a person that is blind. He doesn't see. Can you blame him for not seeing? You cannot blame him for not seeing. Right? If you will try to describe colors to him, he will not understand what you are talking about. So the verse tells you that the relationship God has with the non-believers is his business. It's his issue. The person himself should more consider on the path that he is on and be righteous on his righteous path. The second part of the verse is also complicated. It is also, if you want to look at it from a spiritual eyes, not if you want to look at things simplistically and look in a hateful manner, as in this is easy, the wicked will be punished and so on and so on. But we are trying to transcend above it, to transcend to spiritual level, okay, to the more elevated level, right? So in this level, we can ask ourselves, why would God punish the wicked? If he just a moment ago told by himself, right? He told us that they are wicked because of him. How can he punish them for something he himself has done? Here we have a very deep answer, a very profound answer. Some people yes, are far away from God. Being far from God, the truth is, for a human being, is the worst punishment. It's the worst illness. It's an illness. Why? Because the heart of the person cannot get certain things that are crucial for him in order to have proper living. Cannot. Such people are sick. Now, when a person is sick, let's say, not God forbid, in a physical sickness, but a mental sickness. What is a person that is mentally sick? A person that is mentally sick means that he is found in a lie. Okay? He's found in a reality of lie. Like the Quran says, he has his eyes covered, he's on a covering. It's like a screen that shows to him a virtual reality that is not true. He thinks that God is bad, or that God does not exist, and so on. Covered. When a person is in a reality of a lie, the thing that allows him to be in a reality of a lie is the fact that he doesn't know that it is a lie. He does not know that it is a lie. He is jailed, imprisoned within his lie. Now, when the lie is comfortable, a person would never think, would never consider that his reality is wrong. Because also a lie can be comfortable. When will a person think that his reality is false? Only when the reality will become so unbearable, so uncomfortable, that he will be required to think maybe something is wrong. Meaning, the pain, the punishment that Allah gives upon the ones that are far away from him is also not a punishment. It is also the mercies of God. Why? Because it comes to awaken them in the future so that they will see. Who knows the soul of the person that is now in this time that came to connect to Allah in this generation? who knows how much he has suffered before, or how much he needed to go through so that he will go on the right path. So in this sense, also the pain, also what seems to us like punishment, is an indication from God that the person is not on the right path. And sometimes it depends on the person, how refined he is, how much of pain he would need to suffer in order to understand that his path is wrong. Okay? So when we see that God sends punishments or pain or suffering on people, it might be that God is treating them personally. Also, in a sense, the mercies of God. It is horrible to say, but might be that they are not on the right path, and that God is sending them a message that they should change. Okay? Now, sadly for us, the world today is full of pain. The world today is full of pain. Part of the reason why we are doing these broadcasts is because the amount of pain today in the world is unbearable. It's already unbearable. It is unbearable for the Palestinians. It is unbearable for the Israelis. It is unbearable. Now, a lot of Muslims today say that the Palestinians suffer, and they stand in front of them unequivocally. Now, I don't want to take a stand in any kind of this kind of issue. God willing, there will be peace in the world, and there will be no suffering at all. But for this, we need to come out of lies. We need to come out of disinformation. We need to come out of separation of all humanity from the true will of God. Now ask yourself truly, ask yourself honestly. We will deal also with Israel, trust me, if we come to touch this subject. In any conflict, there is no side that is, yes, conflict, we are all one, all humanity is one. When there is conflict, it means that there is something sick that needs to be healed, and all of humanity suffers from the sickness. But let me just ask you, in this instance, because this is the point that we are touching on now, since we come to the question of suffering, do the people in Palestine, do the people in Palestine, as Muslims, can you tell me that they are truly following the will of Allah? Honestly. Look, Arafat, he was not a really devout Muslim. Okay? He invented this issue of Palestine. Look, honestly, this does not come from a Muslim source. The word Palestine is not a Muslim word. In the Quran, Goliath was a Palestinian. Goliath was the enemy of God. He was the enemy of Prophet Dawood. The Hamas are killing women, they are killing children, they are killing innocent people. This is not the Muslim way. And not only Israelis they are killing, they are also killing Palestinians. They killed many, many Palestinians throughout the years. They killed the PLO activists that needed to go to the West Bank, cannot step in Gaza. They killed Christians. They now killed their own kind. Is this the will of Allah? Think. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm saying that all this conflict is extremely tragic, extremely tragic. People that should be like brothers, the Muslims and the Jews should be like brothers, are fighting between each other and killing each other in such a way. And trust me, inshallah, I do not say that the country of Israel is perfect, far from it. But the conflict will never be resolved, truly, if you want to resolve it and do the will of Allah, by more violence. It will only be resolved if the more refined, the more spiritual forces within humanity will take responsibility like big brothers upon all the pain of all the region and communicate between each other and show that it could be different. Things could be different. And I'm sure, inshallah, any human being, Muslim, Jew, Christian, atheist, that will want to come and unite on this spirit will find favor in the eyes of Allah. I am sure about it, in God, in the eyes of God. Eyes of God, eyes of Allah, it's just the language in which we call him, right? It's the same God. Let's continue.
الناس من يقول آمنا بالله وباليوم الآخر وما هم بمؤمنين يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون.
Okay, let's read the verses. And really, I do not intend to make this broadcast political, okay? But what can we do? The situation in the world today it's not politics, it's human beings, it's the life of human beings, it's the life of people, it's the suffering of people. This is the things that God cares for the most. God cares for humanity, all right? So let's read the verses and try to see how it relates to here and now. There are some who say, we believe in Allah and the last day. Yet they are not true believers. They seek to deceive Allah and the believers, yet they only deceive themselves, but they fail to perceive it. There is sickness in their hearts, and Allah only lets their sickness increase. They will suffer a painful punishment for their lies. When they are told, we do not spread corruption in the land, they reply, we are only peacemakers. Indeed, it is they who are the corrupters, but they fail to perceive it. Look, my friends, I don't want to put criticism but really, in my eyes, the Hamas are stealing the minds of the Muslim world. They are deceiving the Muslim world. And if you read these verses, this is really almost clearly speaks about this kind of people. This kind of godless terrorists that take the name of God and deceive the world that they are Muslims. They are not, my friend, they are not. Look, the government of Israel, sadly for the world, they declare clearly that majority of them are not really believers of God, okay? And again, also in the country of Israel, we have a lot of argument about this issue, okay? That not everybody in Israel is so satisfied that very godless forces are leading the country. Don't be mistaken. Not everybody are satisfied by this. And by the way, many of the religious people in Israel, many of the people that are closer to God, would have wanted different relation with the Muslim world. Not such a relation more or less like the one we express here. There are many big rabbis, like I showed you, that have spoken about the completely different type of relationship between Jews and Muslims. It's a relationship that a godless government, a godless leadership cannot even comprehend to engage in such discussions. That's why we need to do it here, in such a channel, and not in mainstream. Nevertheless, at least they are more honest. The current Israeli government is more honest because they say the truth about themselves. Also, the Palestinian leadership that is not Hamas, like Arafat, Abu Mazen, and so on, at least they're honest. They don't claim to be devout Muslims. Now tell me, what is worse? when people at least they admit that they are far away from God, or when they play devout when they are not? What is more dangerous? The more dangerous is the ones that play religious but they are not, because they can deceive the true believers. They try to deceive the believers, because somebody that wants to come close to God, and he sees a person that clearly tells you, I have nothing to do with God, you will not be deceived by him. But if a person tells you, I am a Muslim, I am a man of God, it is more easy for such people to steal the minds and souls and hearts of the believers and set them on the wrong path. That's why they are so dangerous. That's why terror organizations like Hamas that use sometimes teenagers, sometimes children, they brainwash them, they tell them things that are clearly against the Quran, are so dangerous. Look how the verses say. And there are some who say, we believe in Allah in the last day, yet they are not true believers. Already on the first pages of the Quran warns you, there are true believers and there are false believers. There are people that present themselves as maybe very devout, maybe the most radical, the most devout, the most willing to sacrifice for God and so on, but they are not. They are using the religion for political gains. And this is the most dangerous thing. Let me tell you, my friends, there is no connection in the Quran, in the religion of Islam, between Islam and Palestine. This kind of merge, and God forbid, it's not that I'm coming to say that the Palestinian people have no rights, or that they do not have a culture, or that do not have the right for self-definition. No. I'm just talking religious point of view. The merge between Palestine and Islam was made by non-Muslim forces, by non-Muslim political agendas that also finance this and are literally stealing the minds of many Muslims around the world to support something that is non-Muslim. You need to be aware of this, and it doesn't mean that you should not care for the people of Palestine and so on, but you should know not to be deceived and intermingle it with your religion. They seek to deceive Allah and the believers, yet they only deceive themselves, but they fail to perceive it. Look at the leadership of Hamas. The leadership of Hamas is not in Gaza. They are the most richest people on earth. They have more wealth than Donald Trump. They have milliards. Khaled Mashal, this terrorist, and many, many others. Ismail Haniyeh, may he rot in hell. Yes, I've said this clearly. He's not a Muslim. He's not a believer. He has milliards. He sits there in Qatar in the most fancy hotels in the world and sends young people to their death. They are there in their tunnels, and when they tell them, help your people of Gaza, they tell, no, the UN will help them. We build the tunnels in order to fight, make terror, kill innocent people. This puts disgrace on Islam. You need to understand this. These people are a disgrace. These are not true believers. And you are deceived by evil to think and give them the name of Muslims. I'm sorry to say. And again, my friends, we will also deeply discuss things that have to do with Israel. Trust me. But for now, these verses refer to Hamas. There is sickness in their hearts, and Allah only lets the sickness increase. They will suffer a painful punishment for their lies. Therefore, God forbid, we see a lot of suffering coming from this place. But as Muslims, you should ask yourself, is this suffering just because of the Jews, just because of Israel, just because of the occupation or whatever? Or maybe there is another component here, that you are not being clearly told, that the suffering is because of the wrath of God on very evil things being done over there in the name of Allah, in the name of God, in the name of Islam. And as Muslims, you should not give it your hand. You should not give it your acceptance if you are worried for your own soul. Do not be deceived by false believers. Be careful for your soul. Ask yourself in your heart if you think that this is the truth, that Hamas are truly Muslims, or that you have been deceived by hate, by anger, by emotions, to support something that is godless, that is not true, that is not the truth, that is a lie, that is the opposite from the religions that you believe in and that you love. When they are told, do not spread corruption in the land, they reply, we are only peacemakers. We are the good ones. We are fighting a holy war, a jihad. We are doing the will of Allah. Sometimes they also deceive themselves. Indeed, it is they who are the corruptors, but they fail to perceive it. God willing, let us not be the corruptors. Let us all look into our hearts and see that we connect to the right path. So inshallah, my friends, I hope that these broadcasts are helpful. May all the people of the world unite out of love, out of peace, out of will to serve God, each according to the teachings that he follows and the path in which God guides him in his heart. And inshallah, there will be peace in the world. So, God willing, have a good week in front ahead of you with good tidings and blessing and peace for the world. And may we hear good news from the region and not bad ones, hopefully. Until next time. So goodbye, my friends.